Okay, so now we made it to the next section, require modules. If you're new to this channel and you would like to follow along with the curriculum, the link is in the description. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. So let's get into it. Require modules. In order to take advantage of modules, we must import them with the require command. You have seen this before with readline sync. We introduced it to you here in the beginning. I believe it's in chapter 4. And here we created a variable. We gave it the keyword const. And what that does is it's saying that this is now immutable. But we're passing in this what we call a command. And we're using this module readline sync, and we place it inside of quotes in order to find this module. And then we store it inside of this variable, which now becomes an object. How do I know it's an object now? Because here we create another variable to store the name. We call it name, and we're going to store the answer inside of this variable. But we have this object called input that has access to this readline sync, which is a prompt, which allows us to ask a question. And when the user answers the question, is stored inside this variable, which now becomes an object itself. Then we console.log hello, and we're using a template literal, and we're passing in the variable. In order to pass a variable inside of a template literal string, it has to have the $sign and the opening and closing bracket with the variable name in it. Now let's read. Line 1 imports the readline sync. That's what we're doing here. We're importing it. Modules and assigns its function to the input variable. Modules are either single functions or objects that contain multiple functions. If importing a module returns a single function, we use the variable name to call the function. If the module returns an object, notice here now, this is important why we need to understand objects. We use dot notation to call the function stored in the object. In line 3, we see an example of this input.question calls the question function stored in the readline sync module, because question is a part of this module. It's a method that's in part of this module that you didn't write. So another concept here, or a principle, is abstractions. Later, we will see an example of importing and using single function modules. Let's check the type of input after we import the readline sync module. So when we do the type of, and then we do what? It tells us it's an object. The readline sync module contains several key value pairs. Key value pairs that lets you know that is an object, each of which matches a key, e.g. question, with a specific function. Where do we find modules? Modules come from 3 places: a local file on your computer, a node itself known as a core modules, an external registry such as npm. That's what npm, it's a registry. Node module stores all of the modules inside of it, and we get access by using npm, node package manager. It's a manager. It manages your node files. How does node know where to look? Good question, right? The string value passed into require tells node where to look for a module. We looked at the syntax up here, and this is a string. It's wrapped around a string, and require knows to look inside the node module for that readline sync. Now, let's go ahead and let's go to our VS Code. And I'm going to go down here to the modules, and I'm going to open up the exercise. First thing I want to click on this package.json. Notice that it's inside of an object because we have the curly braces, so opening and closing curly brace on line 1 and line 14. Inside of it, it has key value pairs. Notice here we have name that's in quotes, meaning that it's a string. The keys are always a string. Whether they have the quotes or not, they're considered strings. Now, depending on what type of object you're writing, you may have to, it's required to use the quotes. Sometimes it's not. When you start getting into XMLs, you're going to see quotes around the keys. And then we have all the values, key value pairs. Key is the name. Here's the value, which is a string. And as we go all the way down, everything is inside of a string. But then we get over to this dependency that's inside of an object, the read line sync. And it has a version 1.4.10. Now, in order for me to get access to this version, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change that to Git Bash. I have to have a node module installed. Like I said, the registry is what installs the node module. But first, I need to make sure I'm in the correct file. Right now, I'm at the top of the tree, which is this whole JavaScript, and it's holding all of these files. I need to get to the module file. What you need to do is type ls to list out what's inside of this file. There's the module file I want. So I'm going to do cd, and let me make this bigger. Let me make sure I'm making this bigger for you guys. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to cd into module. I'm going to type a few characters and hit tab, and it completes it for me. Now I'm in that folder, the module folder. I'm going to list it out, ls. Okay, it has what I'm looking for. But where's that node module package.json file? It's inside this exercise file. So I need to go ahead and I need to get into that file. So I'm going to change directory into that file. Remember, directories are folders, right? But let me do cd ex tab. Well, that's not a file folder. That's an actual file. So I can't cd into that. So what can I do now? Now I can do my node module if I need to, my npm install, because I need the node module for the read line sync to work. Okay, it's telling me I have an error. Why do I have an error? So let's go back and let's look at this. Exercise is, I said it was a file. No, it's not a file. It is still a folder. So what am I doing wrong here? Let me do a ls again. I have my package.json locked because I did an npm install, but it's not installing it because I'm not into that directory. So I'm going to do a cd exe tab. Now it completed it for me. This is how you test things to see if things are working the way you intended. So now I'm in that particular directory. Now I can see all the different files. Now the thing that the reason why I did that, because I wanted you to see the reason why this is a file, a folder or a directory, because it doesn't have an extension on it. These do. And sometimes you may get confused, but you just got to understand what you're looking at. And the more you do it, the more it's going to make sense. So now I want to do the npm install. And now it's installing that node module. There it is, node module. Now one of my dependencies is the read line sync. Let me open that up. There it is right there. Read line sync. That's the module. All right, I just want to show that to you as we continue to practice and get better at this. Now, that's how it knows where to look, because of the dependency in our package.json. User created modules. If a module is stored on your computer, the string passes into require. Must provide a path and a file name. This path tells Node where to find the module. and it describes how to move up and down within the folders on your computer. Your folders are directories. Paths can be extremely detailed, but best practices recommends that you keep local modules either in the same folder as your project or only one level from your project. Simple paths are better. So here, a relative path. It starts with a dot forward slash or a dot forward slash dot. 1. The dot forward slash tells Node search for the module in the current project folder. The dot forward slash tells Node search for the module in the folder one level up from the project. All right, let's go back. Remember here, I'm inside of the exercise folder. In order for me to change directories, if I go cd ... it goes up one level, right? So let me do that. So now I'm outside of the exercise folder or the directory. Now I'm just in the module. I'm up one level. I do ls. As you can see, I'm up one level at the exercise folder level. And this is what we're talking about with the relative path. This will make a lot more sense once we get into React, but we want to lay the foundation now. So, as you can see, this is what it looks like for the tree. You have the project and you have the project file, which has an extension on it, which is .js. Following best practices gives us 3 scenarios for importing one file into another. The module is in the same folder. If we want to import hello.js into index.js, then we add const hello, the assignment operator, require, which tells me that it's a function method, and on line 1 of index.js, which is in your exercise file, we're telling you how to do this. And so here we go. Let's go over there. If I go inside my exercise file, and then in my exercise file, let me close that up, I have my node module, and then I have my scorecard, display index.js. It's inside of this exercise file. I click on it, and here is the index.js. It has all the information that you need to do to run this particular test or exercise. Now, the module is one level up. If we want to import hello.js into mycoolapp.js, then we add const hello require ... hello.js. Pay attention to this path right here. This can get kind of confusing, but we want to understand relative path because it's important to import projects. You're going to get a lot of errors if you don't do this correctly, and we want to help you save on your frustration by teaching you foundational things now, letting you see it at the high level view. The module is one level down. If we want to import mycoolapp.js into index.js, then we add const coolapp assignment operator require, and this is the path. On line 1 of index.js, this tells Node to search for mycoolapp.js in the project subfolder, which is in the same folder as index.js. Look at the path. It has one dot, meaning that it's in the same path. Now, if it's one level up, you need 2 dots. If we have to even go another level up, we got to go ... to import it, and we'll explain later. Other modules in the file name passed to require does not start with ... or ... Then Node checks 2 resources for the module request. Node looks for a core module with a matching name. Node looks for a module installed from an external resource like npm, and we notice that readline sync is stored in the registry of npm. Core modules are installed in Node itself, and as such do not require a path description. These modules are local, but Node knows where to find them. Core modules like precedence over any other module with the same name. We'll explain more, but here's a resource. W3 Schools provides a convenient list of core Node modules. Go here, click that link, go over it, bookmark it as a resource. If Node does not find the requested module after checking core, it looks to the npm registry, which contains hundreds of thousands of free code packages for developers. Hundreds of thousands. That's a lot. In the next section, this is why you do not push or add your Node module to your GitHub, your repository. Do not do that. It's just that big. In the next section, we will learn more about npm and how to use it. Package.json file. I showed you this. Now keeps track of all the modules you import into your project. These are called dependencies. This list of modules is stored inside of a package.json file. For example, if we only import readline sync, the file looks like this, and we saw that. We demonstrated that to you. You may not have seen or noticed the package.json file yet, mainly because we have not mentioned it very often up until this point. We will continue to dive a bit deeper as we progress through the book. Check your understanding. We now made it to the end of this section. It's long, but I didn't want to break the video up on this because I wanted to kind of go over a few points with you. Okay, so now remember, the more you do, the more you improve. See you in the next section.